Good afternoon, everyone. It's halftime of the Seahawks game. The Rams are down by 4. Hopefully they can pull it out. Because I do live in LA or Southern California, so. But earlier this morning, I do watch the videos, by the way, that I do record, and I started saying something about my seventh grade teacher, Mrs. Cash, and then I went on, got distracted by parochial school and all that stuff. But in seventh grade, it was 1968, and Mrs. Cash, I remember vividly that she told all the boys in the class that half of us would end up in Vietnam. You know, um, that was, and back then the national news was a half hour a night. CBS, Walter Cronkite would come on, and the first 15 minutes of the half hour newscast was about Vietnam. And they used to post the dead count. So many, this is how many communists they killed, and this is how many soldiers were lost. Which was kind of, bizarre, as a little kid, think of that, well, me, I might end up there one day. But anyway, I was talking to my sister this morning, or maybe she texted me, I don't know, but she said that maybe I should have a word of the day. And if I did do that, the word of today would be respect for law enforcement. When I was a kid, we didn't mess with the cops. They didn't have helicopters back then. You could probably run from the cops and get away. But when you were actually apprehended, you did not mess with them because you didn't want to get shot. They got the guns. But I guess a lot of people got guns now more than ever. I guess I don't know why, but there's just maybe just too much hate in the world. um, but I guess there's always been hate because of all the wars and stuff. Going back, to the Middle East and even the Pope and the, I'm not going to rant on history, but I just wanted to expand on Mrs. Cash and parochial school and all that stuff. I'm glad that Nixon did stop the war. It probably would have been a good idea if I would have went into the service, because if I would have, I would not have been arrested 3 different times when I was 18. I was arrested 3 times with my ex brother-in-law, and actually did a little bit of time too, and I was convicted felon for over 20 years, and then 20 years after I was going to get my contractor's license, and said, "Have you ever been convicted of a felony?" I said, "Yeah." "Has it been expunged?" I didn't know what expunged meant. I went to the library, and I looked at the penal code, and I found out that I could apply for a pardon because I've been, I'd been clean and sober. I had been not in trouble, been off probation, all that stuff, and haven't had any serious crimes other than parking tickets or something like that. But at 20 years out of being a convicted felon, I got my felony reduced to a misdemeanor. Pretty good for a ground theft firearms. Um, but you could do it if you're take care of business. Just do a little research, and that's what I did. And it was a little when I walked out of the court building that day, when the judge signed the things, and my public defender told me that from this day forward, you can legally say you've never been convicted of a felony. And it was like 20 pounds of, stuff that I've been carrying all these years was lifted from my body. And I had my girlfriend with me at the time, and afterwards we went down to the beach and had lunch, and it was a beautiful day. It was a beautiful day. You know, just because something comes down on somebody, there's things that you make things right. And I made things right for me. And I don't think I'd be in the position I'm in right now if it wasn't for that. And so, But that's the word of the day is respect for law enforcement. And one other thing too. Um, a couple of years ago, or a couple of years this coming up March, I totaled my Audi Q5 in Palm Springs at 4 o'clock in the morning when a drunk driver lost control of the vehicle. 4 cars were totaled. All of us were transported. The drunk driver was killed. Um, but what I saw, how the paramedics and how the CHP, the California Highway Patrol, how they were there lickety split and closed the freeway, and I have a whole newfound respect for them, really, because what these guys go through on a daily basis, it's really phenomenal. Um, you know, well, as a superintendent, I built a couple of fire stations for the city of Los Angeles, and I was talking to one of the fire captains, and he told me that um, the average length of service for a paramedic is 7 years, because I guess the stress levels and what they see every day is they can only take so much, So when you see these guys driving around. It's not all glory, that's for sure. And I've seen what the starting salaries for police officers are at the airport, and construction inspectors make more than a starting salary for a police officer. And they have to deal with all the crazy people that think that they are above the law. So. They make laws for a reason, so we can live safely. We don't have to, well, we should lock our doors. Back in the 60s, we always left the back door unlocked. So when the kids came home, we're not going to give them the key because they'd lose the key. So, you left the door unlocked so the kids can get in the house, So anyway, God bless. Go Rams. Hopefully we have a better score more points than the other team, Seattle, and but it's all if the Rams lose, then I'm gonna where's it? Somewhere San Francisco Giants. Yeah, baseball season's coming up. Softball's coming up too. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. God bless. Peace out.